So Tony, being a dancer and a tap dancer representing Broadway, when and how did you start dance in your career, which started when you made your Broadway debut at 11? Do you remember anything from that time?
Nothing. I don't remember a thing. No, just kidding. I remember everything. No. I started dancing when I was 4, and it was all because of Fred Astaire initially. I saw the absolute grace on the screen when he danced, and I knew. I remember where I was. I remember the living room I was in, and my parents were wonderful to put me in class and see what happened, and I stuck to it. That's all I really ever wanted to do as a kid was dance and make people smile. But when I was taken into New York to audition, and then I ultimately landed this role, this very small role. I was one of 4 kids on stage in Gypsy with Tyne Daly in 1990, and it's still my most favorite theatrical experience. And a lot of people think it's because it was very heightened because I was a kid. But for me, way back then, I think Broadway really knew what it was, and there was such an identity.
そう考えると1990年に初舞台を踏んで、今年で30年というわけで、もうすごいベテランさんでいらっしゃると同時に、その11歳の多感な時期にブロードウェイを経験してるっていうのは、やっぱり他の人にはなかなかない経験ですよね。And on the town, Tony, which you were nominated for a Tony, there were a lot of hardcore dance numbers throughout the show. To get through those hardcore numbers, how do you normally train yourself? Do you go to the gym? Do you take dance lessons? What do you do?
Well, I remember when I first got the call that we were going into the theater. I had about 4 months before we were going to start rehearsals, and I knew that my time was now to start training, because I knew that 8 shows a week to do 3 different ballets on stage. One of them, the second act, is 10 minutes long. I knew I was going to have to be in the best shape of my life. I knew I was going to have to surprise myself by being in better shape than I'd ever been. And so I started going to ballet class 3-4 times a week. I got on a way better diet than I'd ever been on. I was just always moving. I remember day 1 of rehearsal, I was really in good shape. And that was the first time I'd ever done that. Usually when I start a new show, I know that it's going to take me a couple of weeks, but I'll get there and I'll get in shape by week 2 or 3. That show, I was in shape day 1, and it really helped because never in my life, maybe ever, will there ever be, was there a harder role to do. I mean, I felt like an Olympic athlete, like I was running a marathon every day, sometimes twice a day. And I'll never forget if I took a couple days off, or if I had a vacation, which I took once. I took a week vacation. I came back and I regretted it because I wasn't as in shape. And that first show back was so hard for me. But physically, it was hard. So, it was a lot of physical therapy, acupuncture. I was at the chiropractor once a week. So I had my team, my medical, Eastern medicine, Western medicine team with me. And I was on that physical therapy table 3 times a week at the theater. But I had an hour before I started the show. I was doing physical warm-ups, eating really well, trying to get off of all the sugar. And I would just collapse every night. I'd walk in the door of my apartment. I just wanted to melt into the floor. And I'll never forget, the last show of the entire run. I got done with the show. I bowed, and I was in an adrenaline rush, and we were so excited that it was a sold out crowd. They were yelling, and I remember walking into my dressing room and just melting onto the floor and crying my eyes out because I felt like I never had to do that ever again.
いやー、聞いててもうこっちが疲れちゃうぐらいのお話だったんですが、もうアスリートですよね。完全なるアスリートの生活をしていて、しかもアスリートより大変なのがその上演中、つまりもう何ヶ月も何年も、場合によってはもうすごい長期間走り続けなきゃいけない、もしかしたら終わりが見えない時期もあるかもしれないということで、トニーが今言ったように、その自分選手力を迎えた時にもう終わったんだって涙が出たって、もう想像を絶しますね。本当になかなか聞けないお話をありがとうございます。As a triple threat actor on Broadway, as everybody says, and being in shows and playing roles only such actors could play, such as Gaby, which you mentioned, and Bobby Child in Crazy for You, is there like a big secret being the triple threat actor, or are there any secrets in preparing for the role?
First of all, you have to be really good at understanding how to hide the work because it's exhausting. Because here's the thing, the secret is you use one muscle in your diaphragm, and it's all about the breath. We use this physical body to do everything we do, but then it's all about the breath in everything, singing, dancing, acting. It's all about how we use our lungs and our diaphragm. So when we sing, it's one way, but then when we dance, it's actually sort of the opposite. So when you sing and dance, it's like you're doing sit-ups for 3 hours in a show. So it's a lot more work than people think. And what I've learned recently is how to relax through it, because for years those sit-ups became so exhausting that I started to be so tense as a performer, and so I had to like relax. So it's really hard. But I think the secret about triple threat, whatever that means, is that you're using your entire facility as a singer, as a dancer, as an actor to tell a story. So it's the number one thing we should be doing is telling that story and telling it really honestly. So even if you're not so proficient at singing or so proficient at dancing or acting, if you're doing them all together and even doing those in a mediocre way, but telling the most incredible story possible and moving me to tears through it, then you are the most amazing triple threat I've ever seen.
やっぱりその真実を伝えるっていうのが一番大事ということですね。Thank you very much, Tony. So moving on to the next question, we're going to be talking about Gershwin's Crazy for You concert, which both of you were in. Both of you were amazing, and it was said to be too good to be a one-night only concert. So could you tell us a little bit about the concert? How was it?
I was going to say the energy for any one night event is just electric because we've never done it before. So adrenaline is just through the roof. And it's the same for the audience. There were moments after production numbers where we had been dancing for like 8 minutes. We're like holding the final pose, like breathless. And the audience is just applauding for like 2 minutes straight. And just to receive that was just incredible. Another unforgettable night at the theater for sure. And yeah, we had a full orchestra. We learned all the original choreography. We rehearsed just for 2 weeks. And it's especially with this dance, with all the dance stuff we were getting to do together, and with the minimal rehearsal, we were forced to really kind of trust each other immediately. And I thought that was a kind of a special gift with this concert in particular, and getting to work with Tony on this, which was just, it was so great because it was just so quick. And I was like, well, thank God I get to do this with Tony and that he's so wonderful. I know I'm in good hands.
I remember saying to you, we were learning our big dance in the first act, which is really hard, the Shall We Dance number. And I remember saying to you in rehearsal, I remember saying, just hold on for the ride. Don't worry, I got you. And you were like, okay. And you did it, which is rare actually. But she just held on for the ride and we had the best time. And I have to say, like, there was such a good give and take back and forth, and it was effervescent. There was good chemistry and we had so much fun. And if you don't have fun while you're doing Crazy for You, something is wrong. So, but I've never been part of a more successful one night only concert of anything.
それでは続きまして、今回オーブトークのツイッターアカウントを通してファンの皆様から質問をいただきました。いくつか答えてもらいたいと思います。We have question from the fans. まずは、愛子24653さんからトニーへ。This is a question from Aiko24653. She says, I cannot forget how wonderful you were in Prince of Broadway when you tapped away the right girl. Was there something that you want to convey to the audience when you dance and tap?
Well, in that song, that was a very dramatically connected number. So it wasn't tap for some pure happiness way. It was tap to harness a character that was going through such angst with his relationship issues. This character hadn't really received love the way he knew he believed he deserved it. And it was all about what could have been in the past and perhaps what other relationship would have been better for him, but he chose something else. And so tap was a vehicle for me to convey those emotions. And it's really rare to be able to use tap dance for a dramatic role like that. So I felt really lucky. And it was the way that Michael Bennett originally wanted the role to be done. And so when we found that out, Susan Stroman and I actually gave her the idea. I said, look, you've never really seen me tap before, Stro. I really think we should go this route. So I brought tap shoes in the next day, and she's like, okay, let's see. And then we started fiddling, and then 3 days later, the number was done. It was just the most incredible collaboration. But gosh, yeah, I love doing that number. I love doing it in Japan. It's one of the most like fulfilling numbers, start to finish, I've ever done. So thank you so much. I'm glad this person enjoyed it.
Great. Thank you for that. Next question is for Laura. It's from N. I saw you as Cinderella in the Tony Show performance 6 years ago, and you are my favorite actress. Do you look up to any other musical actors and actresses?
Oh, absolutely. I think Julie Andrews is my end all be all. The original Cinderella herself. And then I did grow up listening to and watching all of the Disney movies as well as the Rodgers and Hammerstein movies. So Shirley Jones, Jodie Benson, who's the voice of Ariel, Lea Salonga, who's the voice of Jasmine. Those are the voices I grew up listening to. Judy Garland in The Wizard of Oz. I loved that movie. I love Judy. And then even as far as musical theater goes, I grew up a fan of Kelly O'Hara and Sutton Foster, Susan Egan, who I now work with Broadway Princess Party, Linda Eder, who else? Lea Salonga again. I think those were the voices that I kind of idolized and emulated growing up for sure. And now those people are my peers, which is so crazy to be I've worked with a lot of you. It's keep following your dreams, kids. Keep listening to those voices and those people, and who knows, you might get to work with them someday. It's pretty special.
子供の頃憧れた女優さんと一緒に仕事ができるってやっぱり素晴らしいことですし嬉しいことですよね。Thank you for the answers, both of you. 皆さんありがとうございます。他にもたくさんのご質問をいただいておりますが、時間の都合でご紹介できませんでした。ご質問いただきました皆様、本当にありがとうございます。さあ、次のトピックです。早くお二人が舞台に上がる姿を見たいと思っているファンの方も多いと思います。今後のプロジェクトに関して聞きたいと思います。So could you tell us a little bit about your future projects or ongoing projects, Laura?
So I was fortunate enough to get to make a movie during this pandemic. The Hallmark Network has figured out a way to continue production. And I was so grateful to get a phone call with the offer because no actors are working right now. And I was able to shoot a movie during the pandemic. The whole cast and crew were quarantined together, wore masks. We got COVID tests every few days. We had our temperatures tested every morning and remained COVID-free for 4 weeks. And so I have a movie called A Royal Holiday. It's coming out this Christmas, likely November or December, on the Hallmark Channel. So that is a fun, exciting upcoming project. As well as I recorded also a brand new musical in quarantine called A Killer Party. And we all filmed it on our iPhones. And it has been miraculously edited together in a 9-part series, and it can be found online.
Great. Tony?
Well, I just recently finished doing a 2-week workshop of a brand new musical that will probably be coming to Broadway in a couple of years when we're back. But that was a wild experience for me because I'd never done anything like this before. We were actually the first equity contract since the pandemic to be anything like this. So doing a full workshop on Zoom, but at the same time, I had all of these technological devices around me, and I was learning how to be my own sound engineer and video engineer. So that was wild, but it's pretty wonderful. Also directed by Susan Stroman. And then thinking about working on maybe an EP, maybe another album, but already putting songs together for a new album in the next year or so. And I'm also directing a concert at Lincoln Center next year that is probably getting postponed from February at this point to later on, but directing a production of Frank Wildhorn's Jekyll and Hyde at Lincoln Center. So we're just starting to think about casting now, and I'm really excited to work with the team over at Lincoln Center. And I've been directing for a while now, so this is going to be a much bigger stage in New York City. I'm really excited.
Thank you. I'm sure fans in Japan, fans worldwide are looking forward to all of your future projects. Thank you. さて、お話は尽きないんですけれども、そろそろお時間となってしまいました。To wrap up the talk session, may we have a word from both of you to the fans watching worldwide, starting with Laura.
I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for your support. I'm so honored to have gotten to make a trip to Japan and to have so many supporters and fans on the other side of the world. It completely blows my mind. I'm so grateful. And I hope everyone is staying safe and staying creative and taking care of each other during this time. I think it's more important than ever. And we will return. We are all going to get through this together. I know there's light at the end of this tunnel. And I look forward to seeing you all there.
Thank you, Laura. Tony?
I just want to say I miss you all there so much. I can't wait to make my 4th trip back to Japan. And when we come back, because we will come back to the theater, I hope you all just come out and in big crowds and big numbers and support live theater, support your actors, support the people behind the scenes, support the creative staff. Just know that we will be back. And I sure as heck can't wait to be back on stage in Japan. So thank you. Thank you for letting us share this time with you.
And we are all looking forward to seeing you both in Tokyo Theatre Orb. Thank you very much for today. またぜひシアターオーブにお二人とも来ていただきたいと思います。今日は楽しいお話をありがとうございました。ローラ・オズネスさんとトニー・ヤズベックさんでした。Thank you both of you. Stay safe.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.